Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 5. Apareyam itastu anyam prakritim vidime param jiva bhutam mahabaho yedham dharyate jagat. Apareyam itastu anyam prakritim vidime param jiva bhutam mahabaho yedham dharyate jagat. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Paribrajakachaja Stotara Sata Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 5. Apareyam itastu anyat prakritim vidime param jiva bhutam mahabaho yedham dharyate jagat. Apareyam itastu anyam prakritim vidime param jiva bhutam mahabaho yedham dharyate jagat. Apareyam itastu anyam prakritim vidime param jiva bhutam mahabaho yedham dharyate jagat. Apara, inferior. Iyam, this. Itaha, besides. this. 2. But anyam, another. Prakritim, energy. Vidi, just try to understand. Me, my. Param, superior. Jiva Bhutam, the living entities. Mahabaho, oh, mighty armed one. Ya, Bahum, idam, this. Dharyate, being utilized or exploited. Jagat, the material world. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Besides this inferior nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is a superior energy of mind, which are all living entities who are struggling with material nature and are sustaining the universe. Purport. Here it is clearly mentioned that living entities belong to the superior nature or energy of the Supreme Lord. The inferior energy is matter manifested in different elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Both forms of material nature, namely gross, earth, etc., and subtle, mind, are products of the inferior energy. The living entities who are exploiting these inferior energies for different purposes are the superior energy of the Supreme Lord. And it is due to this energy that all the entire material world functions. The cosmic manifestation has no power to act unless it is moved by the superior energy, the living entity. Energies are always controlled by the energetic, and therefore living entities are always controlled by the Lord. They have no independent existence. They are never equally powerful as unintelligent men think. The distinction between the living entities and the Lord is described in Srimad Bhagavatam as follows: 1087:30. Aparimita druvas tanubrittu yat sarvagatas tarim na sasyati niyamo dhruva netarata ajani cha yanmayam tad avimuchya niyatri bhavet saman anujanatam yad amatam mata dushtaya. O Supreme Eternal, if the embodied living entities were eternal and all-pervading, like you, then they would not be under your control. But if the living entities are accepted as minute energy of your Lordship, then they are at once subject to your supreme control. Therefore, real liberation entails surrender by the living entities to your control, and that surrender will make them happy. In that constitutional position only can they be controllers. Therefore, men with a limited knowledge who advocate Therefore, men with limited knowledge who advocate the monistic theory that God and the living entities are equal in all respects are actually misleading themselves and others. The Supreme Lord Krishna is the only controller, and the living entities are controlled by him. These living entities are his superior energy, because the quality of their existence is one and the same with the Supreme, but they are never equal to the Lord in quantity or power. While exploiting the gross and subtle inferior energy, matter, the superior energy, the living entity, forgets his real spiritual mind and intelligence. This forgetfulness is due to the influence of matter upon the living entities. But when the living entity becomes free from the influence of the illusory material energy, he attains the stage known as mukti or liberation. The false ego, under the influence of material illusion, thinks, I am matter and matter acquisitions are mine. His actual position is realized when he is liberated from all material ideas, including the conception of his becoming one in all respects with God. Therefore, one may conclude that the Gita confirms the living entity to be only one of the multi-energies of Krishna. And when this energy is freed from material contamination, it becomes fully Krishna conscious or liberated. Apareyam itastu anyam prakritim vidime param jiva bhutam mahabaho ya yedam dharyate jagat. So this verse follows on the previous verse where Krishna explains the 8 material elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. These are the material elements, and then he says apareyam, above that, itastu anyam, there is another anyam. What is that? Prakritim vidime param. My prakritim me means my energy, and it is param. Param means transcendental, beyond the material situation. And what is that energy? Jiva bhutam, the living entity who is sitting in the heart. Mahabaho is explained to Arjuna. Arjuna, he is described as Mahabaho. Baho means arms, and Maha means great, or strong arm, powerful warrior. The living entity is actually very powerful. It's only because of the limitation of the body that we lack knowledge and strength. But when we enter into our own spiritual identity, then all the strength becomes available, and therefore Arjuna is described as Mahabaho. Krishna is teaching Arjuna to teach us. Just like the mother-in-law teaches the daughter to teach the daughter-in-law. You know, when the daughter-in-law gets married, she moves to the house of the husband. That's the Vedic system. And joint family, the mother of the husband, she is the matriarch. She controls the situation. Now, when she wants to teach a new girl, she doesn't teach her directly because there is no comfort, there is no relationship as yet. So she teaches the daughter in front of the daughter-in-law. She says to the daughter, my dear child, you do it like this and like this and like this. And the daughter-in-law, she is watching and hearing, and she learns from the mother teaching the daughter. In the same way, Krishna is teaching Arjuna. Arjuna doesn't have to learn. He's an eternal associate of Krishna. He is teaching Arjuna to teach us. And he's calling him Mahabaho, or mighty arm, to give us confidence that we can also come to the same stage. Sometimes we wonder, how is it that the living entities fall into this material situation? But we must understand that there is a process of evolution going on in this universe. Even the great English naturalist Charles Darwin, he understood that there was an evolutionary system. The flaw in his explanation is that he speculated that the evolutionary system is the evolution of the body. But according to the Vedas, the bodies are all there. What is evolving is the living entity's consciousness. It's just like a small child. He is sent to the kindergarten school by the parents. Parents are working, they cannot take care of the child, they send him to the kindergarten. They drop him off. The child goes into the kindergarten and he starts playing with his friends. They play games, the teacher engages them, and in this way he forgets all about his house and his parents. He's totally absorbed in his kindergarten business. But the parents don't forget. When it comes to the time, they come and pick him up. If there is some problem, the teacher immediately phones them. They are concerned with the children, with the child. But the child himself, he hasn't reached that consciousness that he understands fully his relationship with his parents. In the same way, the living entities in the material world are evolving from lower species to human being. What to speak of children? The lower species begin with the aquatics, the life in the sea. And there are 900,000 species of aquatics. Lalaja Nava Lakshani, 900,000 living entities living in the ocean. Not approximately 900,000, not more or less, but exactly 900,000. Why exactly? Exactly because it's Vedic knowledge. What is Vedic knowledge? Vedic knowledge is the manual on how to understand and operate the material energy. Whenever there is a creation of some machine, along with the machine comes a manual. If you look at the supercomputer, for example, there are books and books of manuals how to operate it. In the same way, when the universe is created, along with the universe comes the manual how to use it. What is the purpose of the universe? How do we utilize the universe for our benefit? And that purpose and that instruction is called the Vedas. So according to the Vedas, there are exactly 900,000 species in the water. There are 2 million non-living entities like trees and plants. The living entity promotes itself or evolves from species in the water to living on the land as trees. 2 million trees. There are 1 million insects and reptiles. There's 1 million birds, and there are 800,000 human beings, all different kinds of bodies. And these bodies, the description of the body is that the body exactly reflects the consciousness of the living entity within it. But it begins with the water, with fish, and then plants, and then insects, and then quadruples, animals, and then human beings. And when you come to the position of human beings, then you get the chance to understand your spiritual nature. Every one of us knows that there is a spirit within the heart. We have consciousness. Nothing comes without consciousness. You can build a huge machine, a huge airliner, Boeing 747, but if the pilot isn't in it, that machine will sit on the hangar until the end of time. It will not move. It requires a living entity. There is no example in history of science of matter producing life. On the contrary, it is life producing matter. And why are we so sure? Why are we so sure about the numbers? Because, as I said, the Vedas are the instructions that can help us, that help us to understand what is the material universe, what is the purpose for the material universe, and what is the way to utilize it. So, in the Vedas it is also said that Krishna has multi-energies. First of all, Krishna, God has nothing to do. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. Nothing is equal to him and nothing is greater than him. Parasya Shakti Vividaya Suyate Swabhavaki Bala Jnana Kriyacha. He has nothing to do, but he is full of potency. Nothing is equal or greater than him. He has strength, knowledge, and activity, and intelligence. And because we are part and parcel of Krishna, we have all these qualities also in a minute form, but we are not equal with Krishna. We are evolving. Now we have come to the human form of life. We may have come from the heavenly planets, but in general, we can see there is an evolution beginning with the aquatics and culminating with the living human beings. So when we come to the human form of life, we have a chance to understand our spirituality. The other day I was giving a lecture in the Krishna temple here in Amsterdam, and there were about 80 people in the audience. And I said, we are whole human beings sitting here and we are hearing about Krishna. We have an understanding that we are spiritual. But suppose instead of having 80 human beings, I bring 80 animals, from all the different houses around here. I bring the pet, the dogs and the cats and the different birds, different pets. So we have 80 animals here. What do you think will happen? You think they're going to hear about Krishna when I'm speaking? No, there'll be chaos because the animals don't have that facility to understand the spiritual nature. They don't have the ear. They cannot hear about them. But we do. Part of being a human being is to understand our spiritual nature, that I'm not this body. But we're living in a society that simply glorifies the body from birth to death. They don't care about the spirit soul. They are perfectly prepared to kill a living entity even before he's born. They are prepared to kill millions of animals just to satisfy their taste buds. They are prepared to kill each other just for their self-interest. But that is because they don't understand what is the self-interest. Our self-interest is not to enjoy the senses. Jivasya tattva gignyasa narto yaschaya karmabhi. According to the Bhagavatam, which is part of the manual on how to work in the material world, it says that the purpose of life is tattva jignasa, or inquiry about the truth. Narto yaschaya karmabhi. There is no other business. Why is that? Because if we die without making a sincere effort to understand our spiritual nature, then we take another material birth. And again and again and again. And therefore, there is no permanence. We don't know where we're going to go. How can one be happy? How can one be centered if he doesn't know what's going to happen the next moment? You need to be centered. How can we be centered? We can be really centered when we understand our spiritual nature. Because when we understand our spiritual nature, we don't take another material birth. Because the only reason we take another material birth is because we identify with the body. Because we think that sense enjoyment is the purpose of life. And when we die, if that desire hasn't been fulfilled, it will continue in the next life. It is a logical and philosophically perfect understanding. Therefore, Krishna says, Abrahma Bhuvana Loka, from the topmost planet in this universe to the lowest planet, Punar Avartino Arjuna. My dear Arjuna, my dear living entity, it's a place where we keep coming back. Repeatedly. But Mamupetya, one who achieves me, two, however, one who achieves me, Punar Jamma Navidyate. He doesn't have to take another birth in this material world. So, understanding the Vedas is critical for human society. And the Vedas are given and maintained in India, and they've been maintained since time immemorial by father to son, guru to disciple. The Vedas have been maintained in this way. And the West, or the non-Indian interacting with India, has been a disaster, beginning with the Muslim invasion of India around 1100 BC, 1100 CE. The Muslim, they ruled India for 700 years. And after them, the British ruled India for 150, 200 years. But none of them appreciated what India had to offer. First of all, the Muslim religion, it only began around 700 BC, 700 AD. Christianity is 2,000 years. The Bible goes back maybe 5,000, 6,000 years. But Vedic knowledge goes back millions and millions of years. But when the Mughals invaded India, they were warriors. They were interested in enjoying what India had to offer. And the British were no different. They were going to India not to learn from India, but to take from India. Their main drive was economic benefit. And therefore, they were blinded to what was being offered by India. What Islam and Christianity offer is actually a technique to learn to love God, but we don't see it being practiced in Islam or in Christianity. And sadly to say, modern day, even in India, the real essence of the Vedas is not being practiced, but the externals. So, what are the externals? The externals are that you go to church, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. You go to the temple, practice dharma. Why? To get some material benefit. And material benefit, you enjoy your senses. And when you're tired of enjoying your senses, you seek liberation. This is the process. But the process of artha and kama, or sense enjoyment, can go on for millions and millions of births. But right now, in Kali Yuga, in the times we are living, we have been given a chance by Krishna to easily and scientifically understand our spiritual nature and actually make an end to this material suffering in one life. At the end of the Gita, Krishna explains throughout the Gita that we're not the body, that there are material and spiritual energy, that nothing is equal or greater than him, that he is the creator of everything, that he is the guide of everyone within the heart. Therefore he says, surrender to me, sarva dharmam parijyaja, give up all your so-called dharmas, all your so-called rules and regulations and beliefs. Mam ekam sharanam, simply surrender to me. Then the result will be aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshashyami. I will free you from all pap, from all sin. What is sin? Sin means the desire to enjoy the material world. Why is it sinful? It is sinful because it is counterproductive. The more we want to enjoy the material world, the more we remain here. And the more we remain here, we have to suffer jamma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi. Death, birth, old age and disease. And this is the problem in the material world. Therefore, Lord Krishna, even though he gave this instruction to surrender to him 5,000 years ago, people haven't done it. They go to the temple, and even if they worship Krishna, they're worshipping for some material benefit, which means a very slow, gradual path. And when you die, you don't know where you're going to go. You don't know what's going to happen. It's very dangerous to take a slow path. It is easier to simply surrender. And the process, how to surrender, Krishna came to teach. He said, all right, 5,000 years ago, I spoke the Bhagavad Gita. I gave you the instruction to surrender to me. You are not able to do it, so let me come as a devotee, and by worshipping me, by examining my lifestyle, then you will know how to surrender. And that is the incarnation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He appeared 500 years ago in Bengal, and he taught this process of Jivara Swarup Hoy Nitya Krishna Das. Krishna Tatashta Shakti Beda Abheda Prakash. That the Swarupa of the living entity of me and you, our Swarupa, our essence is Nitya Krishna Das. We are eternal servants of God. Krishna Tatashta Shakti. We are the marginal energy of Krishna. What does Tatashta, marginal, means? Means that we are equal to Krishna in quality, but unequal in quantity. Tatashta Shakti. Veda, Beda, Abheda, Prakash. At the same time we are one with God, and at the same time we are different. Achintya, inconceivable. But if we surrender to Krishna, like now we are like children in a kindergarten, and we don't really understand what is going on. But as we grow up, or as soon as our parents come to pick us up from the kindergarten, we become so happy. Oh, my mother is here, my father is here. We run to embrace them. So in the same way, by following the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can awaken our understanding that we are eternal parcels of God. Krishna is my Supreme Father. Krishna is my friend. Krishna is everything. Ishvara Paramaya is the Supreme Controller. Sat Chitananda is full of bliss and knowledge, and he has the power to bring us back home, back to Godhead. Mamupetya tu konteya punarjamana vidyate. Once you achieve me, Krishna says, you don't have to take another birth in this material world. Thank you very much. So we have some comments. Mandy Prior, Hare Krishna. Anna Maria, Hare Krishna from South America. Ekanath D. Dasi, Jai Prabhu. Vishnivansa, all glories to the assembled devotees. Dharmajit Patel, Hare Krishna Prabhu. And Anna Maria has a question. I would like to know the characteristic of a person who has already surrendered to Krishna. Thank you. The characteristic of a person who has surrendered to Krishna. That he cannot speak except mentioning the name of Krishna. He cannot have a conversation with anyone. He cannot relate to anything unless he puts Krishna in the middle. Even he's in the material world, he sees Krishna everywhere. He may be watching a movie, but he sees Krishna behind everyone's act. When he walks in the street, he sees Krishna everywhere. And Krishna is actually everywhere. So one who is Krishna conscious is like someone who is in love. Suppose I'm in love with someone. Then when I talk to my friends, I cannot but speak about this person, about the love that I have. That love permeates my whole being. Like we say, that the whole world loves the lover, because the lover loves the whole world. And when we love Krishna, then we love the whole world. This is the symptom when one is Krishna conscious. Thank you very much. And we'll see each other next Wednesday. Haribol.